नमो अर्हन्ताणम् नमो सिद्धाणं नमो आयर्याणं नमो उवच्छायाणं नमो लोये सव्वसाहूणम् मङ्गलं भगवान् वीरो मङ्गलं गौतमो गणी मङ्गलं कुन्दकुन्दात्यो जैनधर्मोऽस्तु मङ्गलम् सर्वमङ्गल्यमाङ्गल्य सर्वकल्याणकारकं प्रधानां सर्वधर्माणां जैनं जयतु शासनं जैनं जयतु शासनं जैनं जयतु शासनं मोक्षमार्गस्य नेतारं भेत्तारं कर्मभूभृतां ज्ञातारं विश्वतत्त्वानां वन्दे तद्गुणलब्धये वन्दे तद्गुणलब्धये वन्दे तद्गुणलब्धये uh, so we started with a very mild discussion on dharma. What is dharma? What should we call dharma or religion? And what does it actually mean to be religious? And the closest definition that we could reach to was the Dhammo Vattu Sahavo. This small quote in Prakrit language was written by Swami Kartikeya in his scripture Kartikeyanupreksha 476 Gatha. So what he defines dharma is as the nature of everything. Whatever we see, if it has its own certain unique nature, to obey to that nature is called dharma. And if follow what its nature is, somehow that particular thing ceases to be known as that thing. Just imagine if we have a fire that doesn't burn or doesn't have heat. If we have such kind of fire, nobody would call it fire. It's very nature of the fire that it should burn, it should give us some light, some heat. Therefore, to burn, to give us light, to give us heat, is the very religion, very nature of the fire, the dharma of the fire. So that's how we started building up from this definition. And then we tried coming to this whole central focal point that we have, that why do we even need it? And the only answer that we had is that because we all are hungry for happiness, we anyhow want bliss. No matter how we get it, we just want to have bliss. And if somebody has told us that, okay, dharma can take you to that supreme bliss, it can actually provide you with ultimate happiness, then we said, why not? If dharma has the potential to give us happiness, why not to follow it? So now our whole discovery will go about how following dharma and understanding the very nature of everything can take us to the ultimate place, can actually make us ultimately happy. And to begin with, we started with this magical supreme beings that the Jainism has told us about, the five Parameshtis. We also saw a very small video in the last class to know that the Parameshtis are some kind of super humans with superpowers, or what do they have? So that we admire them, we adore them. Are they Avengers? Do they take also revenge? Do they protect our universe? Do they do something to, keep the humanity alive, to make the goodness win, to just remove all the darkness of this universe, all the sin, all the evil? Do they have certain kind of these kind of powers that we actually imagine when we read comics, when we write novels, when we make movies, and when we go to see them? We all love superheroes, don't we? That's very interesting. So what happened once, one of the universities in US itself, I think, so they conducted this. So they took out some prisoners with serious charges. So they were murderers, they were rapists, all the cruel beings who were in the prison, who were actually going under rigorous punishment of the law. So some professors thought, why not conduct a social experiment on them? And all these cruel people have done heinous crimes in their lives. So they took out of their prisons, they took them out of their prisons, and they brought them to a theater and projected a beautiful movie to them. Okay. So in that movie, what happened is, again, the same, you have a hero, then we have villains, and, hero and villain, they both fight, right? So now what they observed that, okay, these all are criminals. And obviously this movie, if it has a hero and if it has villain, then the villains would be the criminals, right? And so ideally, if I am a criminal, and if there's somebody in the movie who is a criminal, so we share certain brotherhood, don't we? Right? I am criminal and there too are criminals, right? So what happened is, so whenever the scene came where, the hero is fighting with the villains, and when the villains were coming heavy on the hero and he was getting all the beatings, so these all were really upset in times. No, why the hero is not able to beat them up? And when hero used to hit the villains and he comes to the win, they all, just exploded in applauses and, joys. So then the researchers, they actually concluded this: no matter how bad things that we have done, no matter how bad impressions are there that we have gained over the time because of our worst experiences, no matter how our whole formation, upbringing has been, the focal point is, the central point is, no matter how bad a human has been, convicted of a crime, how heinous crime it is, everybody praises the hero. Everybody loves the goodness. Even if a criminal goes to watch a movie, he's not going to take the side of the villain. He would want that the hero must win. That's the part of the goodness, right? So that way, we all love superheroes. We all want heroes in our lives who are actually beating the bad guys and, protecting the the left behind people, the poor, who is actually uplifting everybody, protecting everybody. So that's our basic human nature, that we always admire goodness, and we all do not like the bad deeds, the bad people, the crimes. Nobody likes it, not even the criminals. That's our innate nature. We are good by nature. So if you leave humans without any, surrounding, without any atmosphere, they'll come out to be good beings. It's all our surroundings and all the impressions that we get from the surrounding. So then we tried exploring about the five Parmeshtis, and we saw like whether any kind of superpower actually exists in this universe. And we took a very light look at that. Okay, we all think that we do something, but it's not that we are actually capable of it. It's just that we are pretending to do so many things, right? Yeah, so that's how our whole life has been so far. So far, if I ask you, how many times do you blink your eyes in a day? How many times do we do that? We do not even have count. So do you ever feel tired of blinking your eyes? Do you ever feel tired of taking breaths in and breathe out? Do we ever do that? A heart beats 1,000 times in a day. Do we feel tired of it beating? Do we put any efforts in actually running this body? We don't. It automatically happens, right? Yet we have that innate impression, that wrong belief that we are doing something, we are making ourselves happy, We are living a healthy life. We do exercise, we eat, we sleep, and we wake up. Okay, how many of you guys actually sleep? Do you guys sleep? Anybody? It would be really easy for me if you can just turn on your videos, please. I would want to see. Yeah. Yeah. Soham, do you sleep?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know how to sleep.
Say Namakamanta 9 times before you sleep and
Okay.
after you wake up.
Okay. Gia, if I tell you to sleep right now, can you sleep right now?
No.
You just go to your bed, right? When it's time to sleep, you go to your bed and then sleep comes, or you actually sleep. It automatically comes, right? And that's why we say, okay, I couldn't sleep last night. Why? Who stopped you from sleeping? Who stopped you from sleeping? So it all actually, all the functions, just like this guy, he says that he's stopping the train, but no, the train was stopping itself and he just pretended. That's how every activity of our body is happening. We just pretend that we're doing it, but it happens and then we say, okay, I fell asleep. And our language is also very innocent. It's very honest. I fell asleep. I it automatically came to me, right? That's how everything comes to us. And that's why to do something, to own superpowers, to actually have the authority over other beings, over other things, it cannot be the definition of the super beings. In this whole setting of universe, one particular object exercising its power over the another is not allowed. It's not allowed. You think fire burns? Fire. Does the fire burn? If you put fire to this paper, let's say, I have this paper. If you put fire to this paper, would it burn? Yes, the fire burns, right? Then if I put the fire to this metal, would it still burn? No, it will melt, right? And if we put fire to a water bottle, a water can, would it melt? Will the water melt? No, it will actually evaporate. So the same fire, it turns the paper into ashes, it turns the metal into liquid form, and it turns water into gas form. The fire is same, but its outcome when it is coming in contact with three different objects is very different, right? So it means that fire doesn't do anything. These all the three objects have their own way of, converting themselves, modifying themselves. Fire is just the means. It's just there. It's just pretending that I am burning. But no, the fire is not burning. The paper is turning itself because it's how it reacts to fire. Getting it, the fire does not burn. That's the whole principle of Jainism. Fire just burns. It knows how to burn. So if you put a paper on fire, fire will still burn like it was burning when you have put metal on it. Fire did not change looking at the paper or looking at the water. Fire was doing the same thing, same exact thing that it has always done. Fire has never done anything other than burning itself. It's only the objects and their own innate nature that when they interacted with fire, they only chose to, react differently, and the outcomes were so different in all the cases. The space, if you lit fire over here, the space will not, it cannot burn the space, it cannot burn the ocean, it cannot burn the whole blank that we have. It cannot. Why? Because it's not the nature of this space that it can be burned by the fire. Similarly, the soul cannot be burned by the fire. That's what the scripture says, right? So the whole conclusion about Parmeshti thing was this, that okay, whenever we are adoring someone, we are not adoring anyone for they have influence on us. No. In this universe, nobody has any influence on any other thing, right? Just for an instance, have you seen magnet, right? Magnet we all have magnets in our houses for one thing or another, right? So if I have two pieces of magnet, right? And if I it is repelling right now because asking the opposites to meet, right? And it will repel very hardly, right? But if it has to interact, it will also stick to each other very quickly. The magnets do that, right? So if I bring iron in the field of this magnet, in this magnetic field, right, it will quickly attract the iron, right? So if I have, it's quickly taking the iron. But at the same time, if I ask wood to do it, would it do it? No, it will not. If I ask what, plastic, would it do it? No, no. So what is it in magnet that it attracts the iron and it does not attract the plastic or wood? Is there something wonderful about the magnet, or is it the property of iron? Whose property is it? Whom will you vote for? It's the magic of the magnet or of the iron?
Iron.
Right? Exactly. Exactly. The magnet is not doing anything. It's just pretending. It's just pretending. It's the very nature of this object. Similarly, everything in this world, it has its own nature, and when exposed to that particular situation, it has a defined set of reactions, of outcomes that this particular thing will do. So if you put water into the freezer, it will actually become hard and turn into ice. If you put water into the fire, or on the fire actually, if you put it into the fire, then fire will go off. If you put water on the fire, it will actually boil and evaporate. That's for the water. But if you put oil in the freezer, would it turn solid? So the freezer doesn't solidify water. The water does it for itself. Freezer just pretends. That's what Jainism says, that no other object has influence over you. You only have your own signs, your own nature, that if exposed to a certain situation, you will do like this. If exposed to a different situation, you will do like that. It's your defined set. So it never happens that if you put water on fire and it will turn into ice. Is it possible? If you boil water and it becomes ice. And it will never happen that if you put water into freezer and it will evaporate. No, it will not. Why? Because it's its nature, it's its dharma, and dharma is innate, it's eternal. The laws of physics, of chemistry, of dharma, they never change. That's why Jainism is very closely related to science, because its laws are as good as the laws of physics and sciences. We're just trying to study those laws only, or nothing else. Okay, so therefore, when we said we're talking about Parmeshtis, we're not talking about anybody for supernatural powers who's going to protect us. No, we are at mercy of no one but our own deeds. We are at mercy of no one. Nobody is there who protects us. Nobody is there whom we need to protect us. We are self-sufficient. If we understand well the path and our own nature, we are sufficient. We can do it with maintaining our self-respect, with maintaining our dignity, without surrendering to somebody else. We can do it on our very own. That's what Jainism is trying to tell us. So then, who are these five Parmeshtis whom we are adoring? So, firstly, this is the Maha Mantra, Namokar Mantra, in which we bow down to these five Parmeshtis, right? So, who these five Parmeshtis actually are, and if nobody has any influence on anybody, then why do we even need to adore these five Parmeshtis? As Jains, why do we go to temple? Why do we bow down to these five Parmeshtis? Why do we bow down to an idol which is lifeless? Don't you ever ask your parents that question? In a temple, an idol is sitting lifeless. Isn't it same as going to a museum where you see all the artifacts? Do you ever ask these questions to your parents or not? You should, right? See, how different is it to from going to a museum to going to a temple? Because in both the places, you're going to see some artifacts. Only here, a major people are coming from the same set of beliefs. In museum, we have people coming from all set of beliefs. Okay, so a museum is a bit secular in that way, right? So How does a lifeless idol actually help us in shaping our lives? That's the question we should ask to ourselves. Because whatever we do, it should be very well justified to us first. We have this responsibility to first towards ourselves, that whatever we choose to do in life, we remain very confident of that. We should be convinced in what we do. Because without conviction, if we do it because somebody else has told us to do, we'll never be able to do it fully with proper belief, with proper honesty. And it will never yield the same result as it can, and it has the capability to give us the results, because we're not doing it with full belief, full honesty, full dedication, right? So that's what we are trying to figure out, when in this universe, while studying about the very nature of the things, we found out that no, two things do not have any influence on themselves. Only these things actually have influence on their own nature, and when they interact, they actually behave like they know to behave. They never behave in other way that is possible. So they remain stick to their nature. So when there is nobody who can actually have influence, you can actually have influence on me, why should there be any person in this universe whom I call supreme, whom I call Parmeshti, and to whom I bow down to? Okay, you all got my question? You all got this set of question that we must have, right? Anybody would want to answer to this question as of now before we discuss about it? Anybody? Yes. ठीक है. We will discuss a little bit about it. Then you also think about it. Maybe I
Maybe,
have.
can you just repeat the question one time?
The question is only this, that when through our discussion in last three sessions, right? In last two sessions, and this is the third session, we all are convinced that this universe has certain set of things that are pre-existing, that are eternal, and they actually behave according to their nature, not according to their surroundings, right? So clearly, one thing does not have influence over another. They do not, right? Everything actually reacts or transforms according to its own nature, right? So when we all are so independent, when we all are so individual, separate, independent entities, what is the need? Because clearly no magical powers are required now, because everybody is doing work on its own. Then we do not require any superhuman. So then who these Parmishtis are, whom are we going down to? Since my birth, my mom and dad has taken me to the temple and they've asked me to go down in front of an idol. Why am I doing it? And then why Jain temple only? There are 1,000 other temples, 1,000 other types of gods also. They also have their idols. Why am I not admiring those? Why am I not adoring them? If going to a temple is the question, all the temples are there. If going down to the idol is the question, there are many types of idols. So first thing, when there is nobody who can have any influence on my life, why do I even need to go down to a person? Why am I chanting this Namokar mantra and going down to all the Arihantas, all the Siddhas, all the Acharyas, Upadhyayas, and Sadhus? Why? That's the question. Okay? I hope I have made myself a little bit clear.
Yeah. So Soham or Jia, you want to try and answer?
Anybody?
Give your thoughts on what the answer might be. Yeah, Soham.
Yes,
So you bad answer them because like they're supreme to us, and we kind of like they've gained enlightenment, and we want to learn from them.
Okay. So how do we tell that they are supreme souls? How do we know that they are supreme souls?
Because they've gained enlightenment.
Okay, they gave us enlightenment. And what do we do of
So they've
enlightenment?
gained.
Sorry?
They've gained enlightenment.
Actually, they have gained enlightenment. How
Yeah.
do you know that they have gained enlightenment?
Because then, like, for example, Siddhs are in Siddhshila, and yeah.
How do you know they are in the Siddhishila?
In
That's
our
what you have been told.
books. Yeah.
Right. That's what everybody else has been told about their own gods, their own temples, their own religions. Then how are we different from others? You took birth in Jain family, you're following the rituals of Jains. Somebody else took birth in Christian family, they're following the rituals of that family. They're repeating the same things that have been told to them over time. You're repeating the same things. That okay, somebody has attained enlightenment, they have gone to Siddhishila, they enjoy supreme bliss. But how do we know that? How do we verify that? See, being Jain does not mean, see, we are discovering Jainism, and on this very session, we have to be very clear about this one fact. Jainism is not about blind faith. We cannot just go about believing anything. It's the first thing, and it will go a long way in your life if you understand it right now, that okay, whatever is told to you, if it can be verified. First, say if it can be verified. If it cannot be verified, just see whether does it affect your life. It should be that important that it affects your life. If it affects your life, you will have to verify it. If it doesn't affect your life, okay, it's okay. We'll take it on face value, because I can verify other things that actually directly relate to my life, right? So I'll verify those, and if there is certain thing that I cannot verify, okay, if it is not that material to me, I'll not put much of my thoughts into that. I'll take it on the face value. That should be the whole path of our lives. Actually, what is essential should be thoroughly understood. What is not essential, it can be kept at bay for some time, right? Yeah. So yes, Neeraj, you are saying something.
Yeah, I wanted to try and answer the question.
Yeah.
Maybe is the answer that the religion or who we are praying to, when we pray to them, it creates a specific reaction in us, which is our own reaction. But then the question is that similarly in other religions, other people have similar positive reactions from praying to their gods. So it is a good question. It's difficult to answer.
Correct. Great. I think we are on the right path now. What you have said, that it also, like going down to them, it also creates a reaction. It's something to do with the nature of our soul, right? And it has some impact on our soul. So let's find out what impact does it carry on our soul. Okay. So towards the end of the last session, I think we saw one video, right? So this video was pretty simple. I have read your comments, your thoughts. Everybody has written something on the WhatsApp group. I have read it. So great thoughts, great build up. I'll briefly tell you what actually happened in this video. UFO arrived. A person from another planet arrived to this planet, and because everything was unknown to it. So it's we always have the fear of unknown, right? So it directly started shooting everything away. And in haste of saving itself, it ended up shooting the very ship it arrived, or it could take it back to its home, right? So it was actually a suicidal thing that it did. So now it's left in an alien planet alone, without any connection to its way back home, right? It's a very simple, I don't know what to say, the tragedies of our lives. It just says the tragedies of our lives. Srimad Rajchandra, I don't know if you have heard the name of Srimad Rajchandra. He's very famous. He is a great Jain scholar, and he has written magnificent work, Shri Atma Siddhi Shastra. It's amazing scripture. I think you'll all read it sooner than later. You'll read it in your lives. Being Jains, we must read it once. It's amazing. It has the proof of the existence of soul. So beautiful. In 142 verses, he has proved the existence of the soul. Okay. So he has also written this Amulya Tattva Vichar. You must have, Bahu punya punja prasanga se Shubh Deh Manav Ka Mila. I think some point in time you must have read it or from somebody, some of your parents or somewhere, right? So he has written one beautiful line in it. Sukh prapti hetu prayatna karte, sukh jata dur hai. It means, it translates into, whenever we try to gain happiness, whenever we try to attain happiness, we actually slip the happiness away from us. We expel it. We actually repel it. The happiness is such, the more you chase it, the farther it goes from you. It goes away. It's the very nature. Like, see, if there is somebody who is asking you for something, if somebody asks you many times, somebody is begging in front of you. One time he begs, two times he begs, three times. Then you start feeling a bit irritated, right? You do not feel good about it. Whenever somebody does that, whenever a child, it says, we call it always, going after a thing to such an extent that you get obsessed with it. When you actually want it, but you to gain it, start throwing tantrums. That's the point, you start irritating others, right? That's what you do. That's how the karma theory works. In Jainism, it is said that whenever we desire of the things, we are already desiring all the materialistic things. For happiness, we want a good house, good car, good body, good looks, good clothes, right? Good voice. Everything is what we're looking very materially, superficially, right? So these things are provided to us by karmas. And karma says this simple thing: those who desire, I do not give them to anything. I do not give them anything. Those who do not desire, the karmas get attracted to them. In Hindi, there is this one quote: "Bin mange moti mile, mange mile na bheek." So those who do not beg, they get everything. Those who beg, they do not get anything. That's the simple karma philosophy. So the very nature of the soul is such, if the soul is trying too much about the surroundings, about everything that we have around us, right? And we are very preconceived with the notion that, okay, the surroundings have all the influence on ourselves. And upon knowing this, we start to detach ourselves from everything. First, I was not knowing anything, so we were enjoying the life. Then our parents told, okay, no, we'll learn something about spirituality. You have heard this word spirituality, right? What does it mean, spirituality? Anybody? Anybody of you who is spiritual? What is spirituality? Adi, you have not answered anything today. What do you mean by spirituality?
Does spirituality mean?
It's very trend, in these times, it's on trend. I think it's very fashionable to be spiritual. Everybody after yoga and spirituality. Yeah.
Is it like in our religion we focus on ourselves and like our atma?
Yeah. So spirit means soul, and you focus on it. You actually try to know it better, and you believe it, and then you know what science makes the soul actually refined is called spirituality. Very good. So that's what spirituality is. It has to do everything with soul, right? So let's say you have a very delicate object, okay, very delicate object, and you have it in your hand and you're walking, okay, and on another day you had a very light and very sturdy object you had, which was very rough, okay, and you were walking on that day. 2 different days you're walking the same length. One day you were carrying a very delicate object, one day you were carrying a very strong object. Was there any difference in your attitude while walking? Would there be any difference, right? When will you be more focused? When you have a very delicate object in your hand, right? Why? Why? Because you know the nature that if you slip, it might fall and it will break, right? So your whole character, your whole behavior, it was simply based on knowing the nature of those two objects. Yes or no? If you're walking on the ground, okay, and there is broken glass littered in the ground, and you're not wearing any slippers or any chappals or shoes, how will you be walking? And if it's a playground, you have come to play and you do not have any socks, any chappals, any shoes on your leg, and it's a ground, you have always come here to play, you'll freely play the soccer or whatever game you want to play, right? So in these two situations, how you walk, it depends on what? It depends on what? It depends on two things. What is lying on the ground, what is in your hand, and what might be the outcome of your walking onto that particular situation. If the ground is plain and good, you can just run and play. But if it has glasses shattered, thrown around, then you know your legs might bleed actually, right? Or this delicate premium object, the artifact, it might fall off and it can break. That would be huge loss, right? So two things only happened, right? You knew the two things, actual situation and your actually role in that. And it defined how you behave. Yes or no? That's what we did. How we behave depends on what? Knowing the surrounding and its impact on you. So you knew that there is scattered glasses, and you knew that I might bleed because of these glasses. You were more focused while walking. Yes or no? Similarly, Jain Acharya said, okay, then you must do this one thing. You must also know about the very nature of soul and how it reacts to the surroundings. Not just your body bleeds, your soul also bleeds. No, just like body is an object, soul is also an object. It's just that it's so meddled with body that we have forgotten about it. And we have just ceased to consider it as a separate entity. Jainism and spirituality is all requesting us is that just like you consider this body as an object and you care about it, why, when to run, when to rest, what to do, what to eat, what not to eat, when to turn on the AC, when to switch it off, when to listen to music, what to do, what not to do, when to take bath. You know everything, right? What to do this body and what will keep it healthy. Similarly, will there not be a science for soul as well? Should there not be a science? Yes or no? So let's say, have you ever seen a horror movie? Horror movie, right? Do you ever get scared while watching that movie? Yeah, at least. So you go to watch that movie for entertainment or to get scared? Both.
Both.
A scary entertainment, actually, right? So while we are scared, we are not entertained, right? We are actually scared. And then when we look back, okay, it was really scary, we enjoyed it. While you are getting scared, you are not enjoying it actually. Try to remember that particular situation when you're scared. You're not happy at that time. But after completing it and you know that okay, you have survived without getting any stroke or anything else, you're alive very much right now, you're happy now. Okay, I enjoyed. Bahut dar laga. We were really scared to death. It was really a great movie. And when you go to a funny movie, you enjoy, right? You laugh, you explode. And when you go to a very serious, sad movie, sometimes the tears come down to your cheeks. Happens or not? Correct. So that movie literally has a very tough influence on your emotion. Scary movie scares you. Funny movie actually entertains you. A sad movie can actually bring out the tears from your eyes. Yes or no? So our acharyas, our great monks are saying, okay, this is the very nature of the soul. It reacts to the outer world based on its emotions. And now it's your responsibility that in whose company do you keep these emotions? In the companies of the person who is calm, who is blissful, who is serene, who has attained solace, you'll automatically begin to calm down. You'll automatically begin to feel serene, a bit more, satisfied, a bit more as if, you're relieving, letting go all the fears, all the stress. And if you go to the company of those who are full of greed, who are full of, all the bad deeds, all the passions, automatically your emotions will actually begin to take a ride, and you'll find yourself more uneasy, more burdened, more exhausted. So in that way, we actually do not adore five parmeshtis. We actually just like to clean the body. We use the shampoos and soaps. Similarly, to cleanse our soul, we are only having this particular equation to keep away from the bad influences and making ourselves closer to the good influences. And for that influence, we have been told about the five supreme beings who have actually attained the calm, who have actually attained the charitra, who have actually attained the bliss. These five are nothing but the very position of soul. I'll just quickly read one gatha. It's the gatha of Acharya Kunkundev. It's in the Prakrit language. I have no clue whether you guys read Hindi or not, but it's in Hindi. I'll just read it out for you. And it's very simple, very simple. I would want that not the gatha, but its meaning. We all have to memorize, okay? And read it. Aruha Siddhayariya Uchchaya Sahu Pancha Paramethi Devi hu chittadi ade tamha adahu me saranam. So Acharya Kunkundev, 2000 years back, he happened on this earth, okay? And he told us why we are adoring the five Parmeshtis, why we are going down to these five supreme souls. What he says is, these five are nothing but the very modifications or very possibilities of this soul. I'm not going down to these five Parmeshtis. I'm going down to the future possibilities of myself. Arihanta, Siddha. Aruha means Arihanta. Siddha means Siddha. Ayarya means Acharyas. Ujjaya means Upadhyaya. And Sahu means Sadhus. These are five Parmeshtis. Devihu Chittadi Adi. They are nothing but the very, very modifications of the soul. Just like this soul, when it fills itself with greed, it becomes naraki. When the soul fills itself with all the cheats, all the, the maya that it has, all the kapat bhav, all the different kind of passion, it becomes a animal, it becomes dev, it becomes human. Similarly, when a soul, when it fills itself with the great ungreediness, with great calm, with soulfulness, it becomes arihanta, it becomes siddha. The very soul becomes acharya, the soul becomes upadhyaya, the soul becomes sadhu. So these five are nothing but the same, different modifications, different paryayas of this soul only. So while I'm going down to these five, I'm actually going down to myself and what I can become. So these five Parmeshtis are not somebody who is different. These five Parmeshtis are what we actually aspire to be, what we're trying to be. Okay? So next time when somebody asks you, why do you go down to these five Parmeshtis? Not because they are supreme beings, because they are the very possibility of what I can become and what I want to become. We'll put more emphasis on this in the next class, and we'll discuss a little bit more about that video, because we could not touch upon it exactly as of now. We'll do that. But for today, I think it's enough. It's already, I've burdened you with one gatha also. So just think on it. You have entire week think upon it, that these 5 parmeshthis are nothing. But the soul, when it graduates, gradually it gains control over itself. It starts from becoming sadhu, upadhyay, and acharya. It graduates to become arihanta, and the ultimate position is to be siddha. That's what our future is. That's what we are all are destined to become. That's why we are trying to discover Jainism. So let's go down to these 5 parmeshthis and think over it. If you have any questions, any queries, we'll be taking it. You can ask it on WhatsApp group and we'll be continuing from here. Okay. So we'll conclude for today's session. Thank you so much. I'll quickly do. We'll join our hands, close our eyes. निज निधि निज में बताई यह अनंत उपकार है, उसके लिए चिन्हवाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है, उसके लिए चिन्हवाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Jai Hind.
Jai
Thank
Hind.
you, Jai Jinendra.